Breaking news, Manchester United have now confirmed the club has entered into an agreement with British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who will acquire 25% of the club. The news comes 13 months after the launch of a review initiated by the Glazer family. He'll inject £237 million into the club for investment in its infrastructure, taking his immediate outlay to roughly £1.2 billion. United have confirmed the deal is subject to approval by the Premier League, and that might take 6 to 8 weeks. Well, Ratcliffe's Ineos Sport, including Sir Dave Brailsford, will take control of the football side of the club, which will include the recruitment of players and coaching staff. The deal will be financed personally by the billionaire and will not add to Manchester United's existing borrowings. Executive co-chairman and directors Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer said this: "We are delighted to have agreed this deal with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. As part of the strategic review we announced in November 2022, we committed to look at a variety of alternatives to help enhance Manchester United, with a focus on delivering success for our men's, women's and academy teams." Sir Jim and Ineos bring a wealth of commercial experience as well as significant financial commitment into the club. And through Ineos Sport, Manchester United will have access to seasoned, high-performance professionals experienced in creating and leading elite teams from both inside and outside the game. Manchester United has talented people right across the club, and our desire is to always improve at every level to help bring our great fans more success in the future. The Ineos chairman, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, said this: "As a local boy and lifelong supporter of the club, I am very pleased that we have been able to agree a deal with the Manchester United board that delegates us management responsibility of the football operations of the club. Whilst the commercial success of the club has ensured there have always been available funds to win trophies at the highest level, this potential has not been fully unlocked in recent times. We will bring the global knowledge, expertise and talent from the wider Ineos Sport Group to help drive further improvement at the club, while also providing funds intended to enable future investment into Old Trafford. We are here for the long term and recognise that a lot of challenges and hard work lie ahead, which we will approach with rigour, professionalism and passion. We are committed to working with everyone at the club, the board, staff, players and fans, to help drive the club forward. Our shared ambition is clear. We all want to see Manchester United back where we belong, at the very top of English, European and world football." So Kaveh Solokol, our chief football reporter, is with us now. Well, we can see why it's taken so long, Kaveh. They had to write those long statements.
It's taken 13 months.
13 months, yes.
We finally got there. I mean, we finally got there, but where have we got to? Because it is a step into the unknown. We've got a situation where somebody is buying 25% of a football club, but he's getting control of football operations. And the Glazer family are giving away control of football operations, which in my mind is an admission of failure. They're basically saying, since Sir Alex Ferguson left, we haven't done the business on the pitch. We've tried everything. We've backed the managers. We've given them money. It hasn't worked out. Now these new people have come along. They're only going to own 25% of the club, but we're going to give them control of football. In a way, it suits the Glazers as well, because they can take a step back and they're hoping that if things go wrong on the pitch, they're not the ones who are going to be blamed. It's going to be Ratcliffe and Ineos who are going to be blamed. But already speaking to people about this deal over the past couple of days, they're saying to me, how's this going to work? You've just got an extra voice in the room now. So when it comes to signing players, for instance, or hiring and firing managers, you've got an extra layer, an extra owner who's going to be in the mix when it comes to making these decisions. And we're being told that Ratcliffe and Ineos are going to control football operations, but at the end of the day, they've only got 25% of the club.
And what
is that really going to be the case
going?
Is that really going to be the case going forward if things go wrong?
What voting shares have they got? Because haven't they bought some of those as part of this deal?
It is quite complicated. What they're doing is they're buying 25% of the Class B shares owned by the Glazer family. Now, these are super voting shares.
Right.
So although the Glazer family only owns 69% of Manchester United, their shares come with voting rights, which means that effectively they own 97% of the club. They can make all the big decisions. So Ratcliffe Ineos are buying 25% of those shares, but they've also offered to buy 25% of the Class A shares. Those are the ones that are listed and traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And they're offering, what, $33 a share, which is around £26. Same as they're offering to the Glazers as well. And the board is recommending that the shareholders on the New York Stock Exchange accept that offer of $33 a share, because it's far more than it's been trading at. So I think it's going to happen. It's going to take a while, because it's going to have to go through the regulatory process at the New York Stock Exchange. It has to go through the regulatory process at the Premier League, which is going to take 6 or 8 weeks. But those United fans who want the Glazers out, the Glazers are still in. Now you've got somebody who we've got to take it at face value. He says he's a Manchester United supporter. He was born on the outskirts of Manchester. No denying that he's a United fan. He was somebody who was going along with his father to games in the 70s and 80s. He was in Barcelona at the Nou Camp in 1999 when Manchester United won the treble. But it's also true that he has tried to buy other clubs. A year ago, he tried to buy Chelsea. He tried to buy Barcelona as well. He already owns Nice. He owns Lausanne as well. So just thinking off the top of my head, UEFA are going to have to get involved in this as well, because you can't have a situation where Nice and Manchester United are playing in the same European competition unless Ineos and Ratcliffe can prove that they're being run by two separate boards. Two separate people have control over the clubs.
So you mentioned this involvement in other sporting entities. What's his track record like?
OK, his track record in business, incredible. Somebody who goes to college, sets up in business, starts buying assets from oil companies that they no longer want, builds, I think, the biggest petrochemicals company, or one of the biggest in the world. He's said to be worth anywhere between 10 and 20 billion pounds. He's a big backer of Brexit, even though after Brexit, he goes and becomes a tax exile in Monaco. So his business record, hats off. You can't criticise his business record, apart from if you're looking at his business record from an environmental perspective and the harm his companies are said by critics to do to the environment. And he has been accused of using sport to greenwash Ineos's image. His record in sport, I would say, is mixed. He bought Team Sky, rebranded it as Ineos Grenadiers. Their record has been mixed. They're not as successful as they used to be. He's invested in football. Lausanne, I don't think it was a serious play at getting involved in football. It was more helping a grassroots club close to Ineos's headquarters in Switzerland. Very mixed there. They've been relegated a couple of times, but I think that's more to do with helping the youth and Swiss grassroots football. Nice, he bought, wanted to make them into a sort of Champions League club, challenge PSG. That's been very mixed. I think they finished 5th, 9th. They're doing much better at the moment. They've got a new sporting director who's going out there trying to find really good young players. They've got a very promising new young manager as well. I think they're second in the French league. Formula One, they bought a big stake in Mercedes F1. That hasn't been going very well because Red Bull are leading the way. He's involved in sailing as well, Britain's America's Cup Challenge. So it's been very, very mixed. But I think I was saying to you before, he's somebody who thinks he's surrounded by very, very clever people. And he's very, very clever as well. And he's had extraordinary success in business. And he looks at football and what people are doing in football, and he thinks, my expertise in business, I can translate into football as well. And what I'm going to do is, at Manchester United, I'm going to improve everything by a couple of percent. The coaching, the recruitment, the data analysis, the nutrition, the training, the infrastructure, everything's going to improve. And if you improve everything by a couple of percent, overall, you improve everything completely, and you can transform Manchester United and return them to former glories.
You can't improve Old Trafford by a couple of percent. That's going to need more than that.
And that is going to need a lot more than he's claimed $300 million investment. So we're being told that he's going to invest $200 million straight away once the deal is completed on infrastructure. That's £157 million. Now, you're right. When it comes to Old Trafford, £157 million, what are you going to get? A new roof if you're lucky. You're not going to get a new stadium. Tottenham Stadium, probably the best football stadium in the world, I think cost up to £1 billion. Stadiums in the US, the best stadiums in the world, cost around £2 billion. So this is not going to change anything. I think Sheikh Jassim from Qatar was claiming that he was going to invest £1.5 billion in infrastructure. So, again, you're completely right to raise that point. This is not a game changer. The people who run Manchester City, the people who run Liverpool, the people who run Chelsea, the people who run Arsenal, the people who run Tottenham are not going to be, losing sleep over the fact that Jim Ratcliffe has arrived. He's a brilliant businessman, but the jury is out on what he's achieved in football and what he can achieve owning just 25% of the club.
Yeah. Now, they're making some big claims. They're going to bring in the global knowledge, expertise and talent from the wider Ineos Sport Group to help drive further improvement at the club. New sporting director? What are we looking at?
Yeah,
what's this restructuring going to
look like? I think there's going to be a new chief executive because obviously Chief Executive Richard Arnold has already left. There's lots of talk that could be Jean-Claude Blanc. He's somebody who already works at Ineos. He had senior executive positions at Juventus, at PSG as well. He's very highly regarded. So he may well be the new chief executive. He's been involved in discussions. New football recruitment director could be somebody like Paul Mitchell, somebody who's had success before at Southampton, Spurs, Monaco as well, is currently out of work, lives close to Old Trafford as well in the northwest. But there are other names in the mix. There's been talk about Dan Ashworth, who's done such a brilliant job at the FA, Brighton, Newcastle United. But I'm not sure he'd want to leave Newcastle United because, Newcastle United are on the up at the moment. So they'll be involved. Also, Dave Brailsford. Again.
What's his role going to be, do we think?
Well, he has a role at Ineos, which sees him like sort of overseeing all their sporting interests. Now, he is somebody who knows Sir Alex Ferguson. Jim Ratcliffe actually knows Sir Alex Ferguson as well, has met him. I just wonder if Sir Alex Ferguson has been involved in this in the background at all, using his influence to maybe convince the Glazers that Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are the right people to do business with. But Dave Brailsford is somebody who, has had extraordinary success in cycling, and he's trying to translate that success into other sports and football as well. He talks a good game. Obviously, he's had a controversial career in the past in certain respects, but he is somebody who thinks marginal gains. I'm going to go into Manchester United. I can improve everything by a couple of percent and we can turn this around. Most people I know would be a little bit sceptical, a little bit cynical about whether this is going to work because, elite level football at the highest level has moved on so much. I've just been in Saudi Arabia. I've been watching Manchester City become world champions, win 5 trophies in 1 year. When you watch Arsenal play Liverpool yesterday, the level of football that is being played. Manchester United are playing catch-up with all these clubs now. They need to catch up with, clubs like Spurs as well. What Ange Postecoglou is doing there.
Training ground.
All this,
coaching.
Yes, Tottenham. Tottenham have got the stadium. They've got the training ground. They've got a brilliant coach now as well. They're a club on the up as well. Manchester United, I think, it is a big, big job Jim Ratcliffe is taking on.
But it'd be a massive... Let's be positive. It could be the start of something.
Of course it could be.
Yeah.
It could be the start of something. I think Manchester United fans will be saying, Merry Christmas. We've got Jim Ratcliffe. The jury is out. We're not going to be, celebrating and popping champagne corks because the Glazers are still here. But things can only get better. That is what they will be hoping. But what I will be saying is, where is this money going to that Jim Ratcliffe is paying? Is it going to go towards paying off the debts that the Glazer family have saddled onto Manchester United for the past 18 years? I don't think so. What is going to happen to that debt? Because that is what has been, holding United back for 18 years.
And how much is that debt now?
That debt is now £1 billion. So the Glazer family bought a club that was debt-free for around £800 million. The vast majority of that £800 million was borrowed money. And really, they should have paid that money back themselves. But no, instead, they put that debt onto Manchester United. So 18 years, Manchester United has been paying that debt off. They haven't really been paying the debt off because the interest has been going up and up and up. So they've been paying the interest, dividends, bank charges. It's been going up and up. And the debt total, including all the money that's owed on transfers and the money that's owed on, money they borrowed from the bank, is about £1 billion.
And when will we find out about this? Is this just going to happen in the background? The Premier League won't get involved?
Well, we would love to have...
Stock exchange?
You know what we'd love? We'd love, Claire, if we had a news conference.
Yeah.
If we had a press conference and Jim Ratcliffe was on stage and Joel Glazer was on stage and we could ask them all these questions.
It's Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
Oh, it's all coming together.
It's Christmas Eve. It's Sunday. And tomorrow is Christmas Day and everybody's off. And even if it wasn't Christmas Eve, there wouldn't be a news conference anyway. I think sometime in the future, maybe Jim Ratcliffe will do some interviews. And, if we're lucky enough to be allowed to interview him, or if our colleagues at Sky News lucky enough to be invited, then I'm sure these questions will be asked. But still, I would say a lot more questions than answers.
Kaveh, thank you very much.